Scary telling.
I hate the beach. The hot sun, the freezing water, the screeching birds, the dry and tasteless food, and most of all, the sand. But my family loves it, so we go every summer. The first few days were fine. We built sandcastles, played beach volleyball, and swam together. But then, something started to feel off about the water. It was colder than usual, and I kept hearing whispers that sounded like they were coming from the depths below. At first, I tried to ignore it. I thought maybe it was just my imagination, or maybe I was just homesick. But the whispers continued, growing louder and more urgent with each passing day. One afternoon, I decided to swim alone while my family was napping. As soon as I dove into the water, I felt a strange pull, as if something was trying to drag me under. The whispers grew louder, and I could hear them more clearly now. They sounded like they were saying my name, urging me to come closer. I tried to swim back to shore, but the pull was too strong. I felt like I was being sucked into a whirlpool. The water was so cold that it numbed my body, and I could barely move. I tried to scream for help, but my voice was lost in the crashing waves. Suddenly, I saw something moving in the darkness below me. It looked like a shadowy figure, with long, thin arms and legs. It seemed to be swimming towards me, getting closer and closer. I panicked and tried to swim away, but the figure was too fast. It grabbed me by the ankle and pulled me under the water. I could feel its cold, slimy hands wrapping around my legs, dragging me deeper and deeper into the depths. I don't remember much after that. I must have blacked out. The next thing I knew, I was coughing up water and gasping for air on the shore. My family found me and rushed to my side, but I couldn't speak. I was too traumatized by what had just happened. From that day on, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong with the water. The whispers continued to haunt me, even while I was on land. I knew that I had experienced something terrifying, something that I couldn't explain. And I knew that I would never be able to enjoy the beach again. After my traumatic experience in the water, I avoided it as much as possible. But the whispers in my head only grew louder and more insistent, calling out to me, urging me to come back to the water. I couldn't resist the pull for long, and soon I found myself sneaking out to swim alone again. The water was colder than ever, and the pull was stronger. It was as if something was trying to drag me deeper and deeper into the depths. I could see shapes moving in the darkness below me, and the whispers in my head became more urgent. They sounded like they were coming from something that was alive, something that was hungry. At night, I would lie awake in my bed, unable to sleep. The whispers continued to torment me, and I felt like I was losing my mind. I knew that something was down there in the water, something that was waiting for me. One day, I swam out farther than I ever had before. The whispers were louder now, and the shapes in the water were clearer. They looked like long, thin arms and legs, waving and beckoning me to come closer. I was terrified, but I couldn't stop swimming. The pull was too strong, and I felt like I was being hypnotized. I didn't even realize that I was drowning until it was too late. Suddenly, something grabbed me from behind, and I felt myself being pulled underwater. I tried to scream, but the water filled my mouth, and I couldn't breathe. I struggled to break free, but the thing that had grabbed me was too strong. I could feel cold, slimy hands wrapping around me, pulling me deeper and deeper into the darkness. I could hear the whispers in my head, urging me to let go, to give into the water's embrace. Just when I thought I was going to die, I felt something else grab me, something warmer and stronger. It was my father, who had come looking for me when I didn't come back to shore. He pulled me up to the surface, and I gasped for air. I was shaking and sobbing, but my father held me tight and brought me back to shore. He didn't ask any questions, but I could tell he was worried. That night, I had nightmares about the water and the things that lurked beneath its surface. I knew that I couldn't keep swimming alone, but I also knew that I couldn't resist the pull of the water forever. Something was down there, and it wanted me. After my father rescued me from the water, I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. I was convinced that something was down there, something that was alive and hungry. The whispers in my head continued, and I knew that I had been to the other side. I started to distance myself from my family, avoiding them as much as possible. I couldn't bear to be near the water or hear their laughter and screams as they played in the waves. The beach had become a place of terror for me, and I was trapped in my own mind. At night, I would lie in bed, listening to the whispers in my head. They sounded like they were coming from something that was drowning, something that was calling out for help. I couldn't escape the feeling that I was connected to the water in a way that I couldn't explain. One day, I found myself walking towards the water, even though I didn't want to. I felt like I was being pulled by an invisible force, something that was stronger than my fear. The whispers in my head grew louder, and I could feel the water calling out to me. As I stood at the edge of the water, I felt like I was going to drown again. But then, something strange happened. The whispers in my head stopped, and I felt a warm, comforting presence wrap around me. It was as if someone was holding me, protecting me from the water's pull. I don't know how long I stood there, but eventually, I turned around and walked back to my family's beach umbrella. They didn't say anything, but I could tell they were relieved to see me. That night, I had a dream that I was back in the water, but this time, I wasn't afraid. I felt like I was part of the water, like I was one with it. I saw the shapes moving in the depths, but they didn't scare me anymore. Instead, they seemed familiar, like old friends. When I woke up, I felt different. The whispers in my head were gone, replaced by a sense of peace. I knew that something had changed, that I had crossed over to the other side and come back again. From that day on, I started to feel more like myself again. I still didn't like the beach, but I didn't hate it anymore. I could sit near the water and watch my family play without feeling like I was going to drown. The whispers in my head had been replaced by a sense of calm, and I knew that I had faced my fear and survived. I didn't know what was down there in the water, but I knew that it wasn't something to be afraid of. It was just another part of the world, another mystery waiting to be discovered. And maybe someday, I would be brave enough to dive back in and see what was waiting for me. Even though I had come to terms with what had happened in the water, I still couldn't shake off the feeling of dread that had settled over me. The beach had become a place of terror, a place where I couldn't escape the whispers in my head. I started to withdraw from my family even more, spending most of my time reading or playing with my dog, who seemed to be the only one who understood me. Whenever they tried to get me to join them in the water or play beach games, I would make up an excuse and retreat to my own world. The whispers in my head continued even when I wasn't near the water. They sounded like they were coming from deep within me, as if something was trying to break free. I couldn't focus on anything else, and I started to feel like I was losing my mind. One day, I went for a walk on the beach by myself. I was trying to clear my head, but the whispers in my head only grew louder. I felt like I was being followed, like someone was watching me from the shadows. I turned around, but there was no one there. The beach was empty, except for a few seagulls scavenging for food. As I walked back to our beach umbrella, I could feel something pulling at me, something that was stronger than my fear. I knew that I had to face it, even though it terrified me. I walked towards the water, and the whispers in my head grew louder. But this time, they were joined by something else, something that sounded like laughter. It was my family, playing in the water, having the time of their lives. I felt a pang of jealousy, but then something else happened. I heard another voice, one that sounded like it was coming from the water. It said my name, and I felt a cold, slimy hand wrap around my ankle. I screamed and tried to break free, but the hand was too strong. It pulled me towards the water, and I knew that I was going to drown again. But then, something else happened. My dog, who had been sleeping by my feet, woke up and started barking. The hand let go of me, and I fell back onto the sand. When I opened my eyes, I saw that my family was running towards me, worried and concerned. I realized that they loved me, even though I had been pushing them away. I realized that I didn't have to face my fear alone. From that day on, I started to participate in beach activities with my family again. I still didn't like the water, but I didn't hate it either. I started to see it as something that was both beautiful and dangerous, something that needed to be respected. The whispers in my head continued, but they were quieter now. I knew that I had faced my fear and come out the other side. And even though I still had a long way to go, I knew that I would never be alone again. As the end of the summer approached, I realized that I had come a long way since the beginning of the season. I no longer felt like a prisoner of my own fear, and I had started to enjoy the beach in my own way. But as I sat on the sand, watching my family play in the water, I felt a strange sense of foreboding. It was as if something was about to happen, something that would change everything. Suddenly, the water started to bubble and churn, as if something was moving beneath the surface. My family noticed it too, and they started to back away from the water, looking scared. And then, something emerged from the water, something that was beyond anything I had ever imagined. It was a creature, with long, thin arms and legs, and a face that looked like it was made of seaweed and coral. It was taller than any human, and its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. I felt my heart race as I realized that this was the thing that had been calling out to me all summer, the thing that had been whispering in my head. It was as if it had finally come to claim me. But then, something else happened. My dog, who had been playing in the sand, ran towards the creature, barking ferociously. It was as if he was trying to protect me from the creature's grasp. The creature seemed surprised by the dog's bravery, and it hesitated for a moment. And in that moment, my family ran towards me, grabbing my hands and pulling me away from the creature's reach. As we ran back towards our beach umbrella, I could hear the creature's laughter and whispers, still calling out to me. But this time, I wasn't alone. My family was with me, and so was my dog. I realized that I had been given a gift, the gift of facing my fear and surviving. I had been given a second chance, a chance to live my life without being haunted by the whispers in my head. As we packed up our things and headed back home, I felt a sense of gratitude wash over me. I was grateful for my family, for my dog, and for the beach that had once terrified me. I knew that I would never forget the creature that had emerged from the water, but I also knew that I didn't have to be afraid of it anymore. It was just another part of the world, another mystery waiting to be discovered. And even though I didn't know what the future held, I knew that I was ready to face it, one day at a time.